Ferrari have introduced the new concept on their car, and it looks like the team is set to take the grid by storm. However, they are not the only ones with bold approaches who will be looking to extract as much performance as they can in 2025. Nevertheless, with the strongest duo on the grid and a 7-time world champion eager to prove that he can win outside Mercedes at the age of 40, how can Ferrari's concept change prove pivotal to their campaign? And more importantly, is it in the right direction this time? There is no question about it. When it comes to Ferrari, we always tend to take everything with a pinch of salt because they are a team that announced tons of upgrades that were supposed to revolutionise the car's behaviour and didn't do exactly that. However, the trend that we've been following in the past couple of hours is definitely showing another curve. And for example, Ferrari has been nothing short of amazing in terms of upgrading their car throughout the entirety of the season. But in 2025, we are going to see a brave design of chance and concept, with the goal being winning at least one of the 2 championships, according to Leclerc. What Ferrari has done with the car has been forced by the limit that the SF-25 achieved, and one of the most obvious innovations on the new car is the pull rod front suspension. The team decided to follow a path that has been created by McLaren and Red Bull since the beginning of the newly regulated era, and while the choice hasn't been made by Leclerc, one of the loudest signatures that Ferrari has made in the past couple of years, the Italian still had quite a bit of influence as to how the car would be moulded for the 2025 season. When talking about the change, Leclerc said, "These cars are so optimised that when you start moving something, you have to move everything else. We finished the 2024 season quite strongly, but finding performance in the SF-25 was becoming increasingly difficult." But there is no question about the massive change that the team has introduced if you were to compare the car with the SF-25, and that has been further explained by Leclerc. The chassis technical director of Ferrari has been adamant that the evolution is here, and according to the simulator data, there is definitely a lot to be looking forward to headed into the 2025 season. Elaborating further on this situation, Serra said, "The SF-25 is an evolution of last year's car, which had already shown good potential. We have worked hard, changing 99% of the car and evolving its architecture to maximise performance. The front pull rod suspension is just the most visible of the many significant changes we have made. The upcoming season will be extremely competitive, where every millisecond will count. We are therefore ready to do our best to find those gains, even marginal ones, that can make the difference. We can't wait to hit the track." But hitting the ceiling with the SF-25 is not something that is happening for the first time throughout the currently regulated era. It's just an issue that hasn't happened to Ferrari yet. We are talking about more or less the same issue that Red Bull has dealt with entering the 2024 season, when the team was adamant that they have reached peak performance with the RB19, and for the RB20 they need to adopt a new and bold design. However, the Austrian team was unpleasantly surprised with the limitations they found, which is why Ferrari has learned a lot from observing the nature of their rivals' upgrades and making sure that they won't meet the same limitations on the SF-25. The pull rod suspension is complementary to the SF-25's new side pod position, which should enable better management of airflow around the tyres and entrance of the Venturi channels. Of course, this opens up a big window to work on the aerodynamic aspects of the car, with the primary aim being increasing the ceiling as the season goes by and not meeting obstacles in terms of upgrades working in the simulator, but then not correlating with the on-track data. While the majority of the car would still be changed as we move forward in the season, a huge part of that would be influenced as to how the SF-25's base model would look and perform like. Therefore, the basic changes are not just around the front pull rod suspension. The SF-25's wheelbase has also been lengthened as the weight of the car have been moved more towards the rear. This is also beneficial from the aerodynamical aspect of the front suspension, and probably the only thing that has been left unmodified from the 2024 car are the side pod inlets, which will remain P-shaped. The engine cover will also change accordingly to the new concept of the car, but Ferrari is being cautious here, and they won't take as extreme approach as Red Bull's 2024 concept, one that was deemed to be revolutionary at the time, but turned out to be a complete failure with the rest of the concept. But still, the pull rod is the main talking point in Ferrari's camp, and Leclerc has taken the liberty to say that it is the best possible thing that they could have done on the SF-25's car from an aerodynamic point of view. And while visibly the car does look very similar to its predecessor, the changes that are underneath the core are believed to be very strong and pivotal for Ferrari's belief that they can go and win it all in 2025. The team now has complete understanding for the car's concept, and it does seem like they are already prepared to mount the first upgrades of the SF-25. And when talking about it, Fred Vasseur said, "The first races and the first update that we will make to the car will be crucial for the season." And the upgrades of the car would be primarily focused on the fundamental changes that the team made with its design, more precisely the dynamics of the vehicle. The disadvantage is focused on the mechanical aspect of the car, because it would be more difficult to set up the Challenger once you have a new concept that the dynamics of the car need to be adapted to. But if you're to talk to the chassis technical director, Leclerc, there is no room for worries, because the car will not be used in a different way compared to the SF-24. Therefore, massive adaptation problems are not expected. As Sarah said, yes, we have changed a lot of components, but we expect the performance in certain areas to remain similar, while in others it will certainly be better. That is why I don't expect a steeper learning curve compared to last year. Charles Leclerc is adamant that the team can now fight for at least one of the two championships in 2025, and when talking about this to a greater extent, the Monegasque driver said, "We will find out on the track if it's the best car. It is definitely better than the 2024 one. The Constructors' Championship is the most logical goal. Last year we came in second, very close to McLaren, but I've always had a dream to win the title, and I hope to do it in 2025. Me and Hamilton get along very well. I have a lot to analyse about his way of working and his driving. Let's hope it's Ferrari's year. Today in Fiorano we didn't have any bad surprises, like a bad feeling or numbers that we didn't expect. The feeling was good. I would be disappointed if we didn't win one of the two world championships." The testing of the SF-25 happened a couple of days ago, when both Hamilton and Leclerc were pushing the absolute maximum from the car in a 100-kilometre session each on the private track of Ferrari in Fiorano. However, the results might not be what the Hamilton fans have hoped for, and while they are not representative of anything, given the fact that the 7-time world champion is still adapting to the car, being 0.8 seconds slower than your teammate is not the best way to start the campaign with the new car. It's not the first time that Hamilton was slower than Leclerc throughout the pre-season testing. In Barcelona, it was reported that he lapped almost 2 seconds slower than the Monegasque driver when both of them tested the SF-23 as well as the SF-24 in the Pirelli tyre test. Hamilton himself admitted that there is still a lot of adaptation to be done from his side, and we shouldn't expect a miracle at the very beginning of the season. As he went on to elaborate, "I am not at the level I want yet, and I know it. Everything is different. I have to work a lot. There is no doubt that Hamilton will reach a level in which he will be satisfied completely by the car's performance, and that might take a bit longer than expected, but the early signs show that if Ferrari would fight in the Drivers' Championship from day one, it will be Leclerc who will lead the charge. Unfortunately for Hamilton, he might have to respect some team orders if the advantage proves too big in favour of the Monegasque driver." And with all this in mind, do you think that Ferrari can, in fact, win it all in 2025? And more importantly, which driver do you think will get the best out of the new concept of the car? Let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in the latest updates regarding Tsunoda's future with Red Bull, make sure to click the video that appears on your screen right now.